Welcome to the StockMiner.com studios here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your StockMiner Brian Johnson, making professional trading simple. And the bounce is on. Burning, burning, burning. Baby, can you feel it? The bounce is on. Yeah, it's official now. We got back up and over that 1095 mark on the SPX, back over the 10250 area on the Dow. And this is really what I was looking for, was a break above and a close above this particular level. Got it today. So this played out very nicely, actually. A beautiful, beautiful trade. Here was that channel I had drawn in for you this weekend. We broke up and above that on Monday and stayed above it for a couple hours. Love to see it hold. Then another break today once we got back up over this 20 or 50 period moving average. It was game on for the bulls. Another good opportunity to get long there. And now up and over 10,250, more importantly, closing above 10,250. Even a little higher than I expected, but still right below the 10,300 area. I thought maybe it would close somewhere back here towards 10,280, but this is good. This is fine. No problem. Now, the bounce has been kind of hard, been kind of fast. This is very common when we see what I would consider at this point to just be a corrective wave, if you're an Elliott wave person, or just a correction, I think, to this big move that we saw to the downside. Where this will go, we don't know yet. My gut tells me that we'll end up making it up into this area someplace before rolling over and turning downwards. The charts tell me to just shut up and do what they tell me to do. So that's what I'm going to do. Next heavier level is above 10,300. Then above this 10,4, let's call it 10,425 area here. So a little bit more resistance on the way up, but it's been clearing it out pretty nice for the bulls. Maybe a little bit more of a stretch up to this point. Then I think we see a pullback. Then we see another move to the upside, and that'll be one of the moves I'll really be watching closely, making what would be, for Elliott wave terms, an ABC correction. I believe they call that a zigzag in this particular case. I think it'll end up being a zigzag. So we could see an A and then maybe a pullback into these moving averages, B, and then if we move back up, I would expect us to break this top and make that C wave to the upside. Still very early to tell, and I'm not going to get into Elliott wave counts because they're just a mess. Let's just watch the TA here. Back below 250 gives you a pretty defensible short trade. Whether that happens tomorrow or late tomorrow or even into Thursday morning, who knows? Don't know how long this is going to extend. So let's just watch these levels. 10,300 for your first level to the upside. 10,400 to 10,425 above that if you're a Dow player. Below 10,250, pretty defensible, I think, back to the 10,200 area. Here we are on the daily. You can see us with the big move down, now with two candles back up again, looking for that 10,425 area. That also coincides with this a nice conglomeration of moving averages up here. With the, I didn't mean conglomeration, how about consolidation? That's a better word. Of the 50 and the 20, you guys are going to have to excuse me. I'm fighting a cold, so if I sound extra nasally today, that's why. And I'm on these, I don't know what tablets they are, but they make me a little loopy, so you'll have to hang with me. But here are the moving averages, the 20 and the 50. This is what I expect to see some overhead resistance at. A pause, a bounce, something up here. If you're a spec player, this would be a decent place to look for a short right at this level, and you'll want a really, really tight stop right above it. If you're not experienced in doing that, don't try it. It's just for those people out there that like to take a little bit more speculative trades. But this would be a very logical place to run up to if we can get above this area here. This would be the next area I'd be looking at on the Dow. NDX on a 60-minute, it's starting its bounce too. Finally broke this larger line of resistance. Saw it break above it today and close above it today. Hard to take a trade on it to the long side because it was so extended already. So if you're not already in, you're chasing it. You're going to want to wait a little while and see if it'll hold here for a few candles. In this case, it's a 60-minute chart, so for a few hours, let's see if this particular line will hold. If it will, then you could see some more upside to the NASDAQ and or a break over 1783, which was the 50-period moving average. Also a break over this area here is about that 1783 area as well. This could also make for another good short-term long entry on the NASDAQ. If that makes sense. Follow that. So a defensible long above this area here, but it only in the short term. I'd be watching it up here towards the 1800 level for my first target. NDX on a weekly, still a little early yet, not going to worry about it quite yet at this point. SPX on a 60-minute, moving right along. You can see it breaking out very nicely. This was another beautiful break right here. Broke this upper channel line, went 1, 2, 3 candles over, spent 3 hours above this 1085 area, launched from there. Big move up and above the 50-period moving average, another good entry to the long side, and really just running straight up. So been a very, very good, healthy move to the upside. I have been showing, or I did send out an intraday email today, or actually right at the very end of the day, showing a 30-minute. If you look at a 30-minute chart, you can see it followed the channel up very, very nicely. So the SPX making nice moves back to the upside and a little bit stronger than what we've seen from some of the other indices. The S&P was up 1.3%, which was once again the second day. I know it was, well, for this week, it's been the strongest so far. So it's looking very nice on these runs back up. Right to 1103. I had 1103 to 1105 as pretty strong resistance for my subscribers, and this is where we close the day. So if we're going to see a little bit of a pullback, we might see it here. This was my first target from down here, was the 1105 area. Looking at 1115 and 1130 ultimately for my much larger overhead areas. Here's that conglomeration, consolidation of moving averages, the 20 and the 50. We'll see if they start to consolidate even more as we progress to the next few days. These will start to move towards one another, doing exactly what we saw in the Dow. So if we break up and over 1105, 1110, 11, let's say 1113 to 1115 is kind of my next overhead area. Once again, that would be another spec trade if you wanted to take a short position there and play it for a quick bounce on an intraday basis. You could do that and probably be okay. Be surprised if it just blasted through it. If it did, you're going to see a lot of bears cover, I think, and you're going to want to get out of that position if you're going to try to take a spec short up here. A little bit too crazy for me at this time, so I probably won't be doing it. But for some of you that are a little bit more wild than I am, not a bad play. Here we are above the 20-week moving average, but it's only Tuesday. A lot of week left. The VIX moving down as well for those of you that are buying your options. You're getting in at better and better prices every single day. If you bought last week, you're losing a little bit of premium on your options every little day as it moves back down. Right back here to the support area, which is what I talked about yesterday from a weekly standpoint. Still not, I'm not real concerned about support resistance on the VIX. I'm just looking at where it's at in relationship to the markets themselves. And there was a big rise in the fear market, or in the fear index here just a couple weeks ago, starting to kind of subside. Looks like a little pullback. We still could see some pretty major moves to the upside in the VIX. But at that point, we're going to want to be looking to get into some shorts for the rest of the market. What's next? Apple. Okay, before I move on, shameless